They laughed at the United States. Analysts spoke with certainty, convinced that America lacked the discipline, the tradition, and the endurance required for true war. They saw a nation divided by debate, protected by distance, distracted by comfort. To them, America was inexperienced, soft, untested. They believed that when pressure arrived, the country would hesitate, argue internally, and fracture under stress. They believed America would retreat before committing fully. What they did not understand was that restraint is not weakness, silence is not surrender, and patience is not the absence of power. For much of modern history, the United States existed outside the ancient rivalries of the Old World. While empires rose and fell through centuries of bloodshed, America focused on building, expanding, and innovating. This difference shaped perception. Older nations measured strength by tradition and constant conflict. America measured it by capacity and potential. Distance from war was mistaken for fear. Debate was mistaken for indecision. Calm was mistaken for collapse. Yet beneath that calm was an unmatched ability to mobilize when the moment demanded it. That moment arrived suddenly. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, the goal was not only military damage but psychological shock. The intention was to cripple American confidence and force withdrawal from global affairs. For a brief moment, the world waited to see how the United States would respond. Many expected hesitation. What followed instead was unity on a scale rarely seen in history. Political divisions dissolved overnight. Factories transformed with unprecedented speed. Civilian production shifted toward warfare with ruthless efficiency. In months, the United States built an industrial and logistical system that surpassed what entire empires had taken decades to achieve. Across the Atlantic and the Pacific, disbelief turned into alarm. American ships crossed oceans without pause. Supply lines stretched farther than any enemy believed possible. Equipment, fuel, and manpower arrived continuously, overwhelming resistance through sheer persistence. But the true shock was not industrial. It was human. American soldiers were not fighting for conquest or ideology imposed from above. They fought for home, for survival, and for each other. That motivation created endurance beyond expectation. It allowed ordinary men to withstand conditions that shattered seasoned armies. The beaches of Normandy became the ultimate test of that resolve. Military planners knew the cost would be devastating. Defenses were heavy. Terrain was unforgiving. Casualties were inevitable. Many believed the invasion would fail under its own weight. Yet when the moment came, American forces moved forward into chaos without hesitation. Under relentless fire, through confusion and fear, they advanced step by step, not because success was guaranteed, but because retreat was unacceptable. By the end of that day, what had been labeled impossible became irreversible. The world understood that American forces did not collapse under pressure. They absorbed it. This was not an isolated moment. The same pattern repeated itself in the decades that followed. In Korea, enemies underestimated the speed of American response. In Vietnam, they misjudged endurance and adaptability. In the Middle East, they believed technology could be matched and patience exhausted. Each time, the assumption was the same, that America relied solely on numbers and machines. That resolve would fade. That commitment was temporary. Each time those assumptions failed. During the Gulf War, experts predicted a long and costly conflict. They expected resistance to slow progress and force compromise. Instead, weeks reshaped the battlefield entirely. Precision replaced chaos. Coordination replaced confusion. The outcome shocked those who believed American power was overstated. What defines these moments is not simply victory, it is surprise. Time and again, the United States entered conflict doubted, questioned, and dismissed. And time and again, it forced the world to revise its assumptions. True strength does not announce itself. Preparation remains invisible until tested. Resolve stays quiet until pressure becomes unavoidable. But when that pressure arrives, the response is unmistakable. For a moment, the world stood still. This is not a story of perfection. The United States has made mistakes, as all nations do. But when challenged directly, when hesitation is no longer an option, it has demonstrated an unmatched ability to mobilize, adapt, and endure. That endurance transforms skepticism into shock and shock into respect. Forgotten valor exists to remember these moments, not to glorify war, but to honor resolve, sacrifice, and the quiet power of a nation that refuses to collapse when the world expects it to. Never underestimate the United States.